Hey everyone, it's Bex. I've been asked, I've had a request to talk about chaining of behaviour. And this is something that I really enjoy talking about. I think it's really important. And that's because it's a real key to progressing our training, whether that's moving on to more sort of complex behaviours or whether it's about building duration and beginning to thin out the amount of reinforcement we're giving. Chains are really important. So this is kind of a big topic, and I thought that in this 2-Minute Tuesday, I might just touch on one really important key. So first of all, to define what a chain is, and there's lots of debate and discussion and different definitions as to different types of chain and what qualifies as a chain and what doesn't. But for my purposes, we're talking about a series of behaviours, one after the other, with the primary reinforcer at the end. So a example that I really like to use when I'm teaching is a horse learning to fetch. So we've got the horse walking away from us, picking up the toy, turning around, walking back to us with the object, and then placing it in my hand. So he's not being reinforced for each piece of that behaviour. It can be a relatively lengthy and quite a complex behaviour, but he's not getting reinforced for every piece, he's getting reinforced at the end. So one thing that's really important to recognise with chains is that a cue, when trained with positive reinforcement, is a conditioned reinforcer in itself. So what that means is that when I train my horse to touch a target with clicker training, touching that target becomes a reinforcer for something else. So we can reinforce our horse for standing still and quiet by presenting our target, and then we reinforce the target by feeding. So if you look at it that way, we have created a tiny little behaviour chain of standing nicely and straight in my body and keeping my head away from the human, and then touching the target. So I've introduced a new cue, and I'm reinforcing the standing still by allowing the horse to touch the target. The green light for reinforcement goes on, and then he gets reinforced at the end. So that is the first important principle to acknowledge about behaviour chains, and also about training itself. That's a really important concept to acknowledge, that the opportunity to perform a positively reinforced behaviour is in itself going to be reinforcing. So think about what the animal is doing before you cue them. So let's continue this conversation. Ask more questions in the comments underneath, and we'll continue it next week because it's a good one.